Today we will talk about Tottenham's win over Chelsea. We will look at Ranieri's first game with Fulham against Southampton. And we're going to ask the question, why is Manchester City a different beast abroad than it is back here at home in the Premier League? And also we're looking into the future to the North London derby. What are Devo's and Double H thoughts on that? I'm Leonie and this is Hope Meets Banter. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hope Meets Banter. I'm Leonie and here with me in the studio are the legends, Double H and Devo. So good to have you here too, boys. We're missing Drifty today, but what can you do, right? I mean, Three Musketeers no more, but I'll step in.
You say missing.
Look, because Drifty has been saying a few things,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, no. We miss you, Drifty, but I'll step in. I'll be the third part of the Three Musketeers here. Loads to talk about. Big games happening. Tottenham, Chelsea is my favorite. I want to start talking about that. 3-1. Let me just hit you a little bit. So Pochettino praises his players, right? Had nothing bad to say about his team. Said it's all about the players. It's not me. They did great. We had on target from Tottenham 9 shots versus 2 from Chelsea. 9 shots. They put 3 in the bag. We had first one from Ali. We had a beautiful from Kane. And then he emerged. He emerged. It's in the second half. It's his first league goal. Well done to Heung-min Son. 3 attempts, 4th time lucky he did it. What are your thoughts on this performance?
I'll let you go first, man.
No. Look. I mean, it was a complete and total beatdown that Chelsea received, and I think Tottenham they fully deserved it. And I just think that it's just one of those things where, like, tactically, Pochettino just got it right, and I think that for Chelsea right now, everybody has sort of been picking apart Chelsea, like, Sarri, he's not really that good. Jorginho's not really that good. They're so bad. But remember, this is Chelsea's first loss. Sarri, this is he's only 3 or 4 months into the job. He was never going to go through the whole season unbeaten. That was never going to happen. And if there's a game to lose away at Tottenham, isn't really that much of an embarrassment. So
Chelsea did have a lot to lose, just to quickly give you this, right? They remained unbeaten till then, and they were 2 games shy of their longest undefeated run ever. Very sorry. So Sarri said they played bad in all directions. They played bad physically, mentally, and technically. Is basically
They definitely did. And you know what? And you have to remember that, as you said, this is Sarri's first season, not just at Chelsea, but in the league. So he's not come up against Pochettino and managers like that who have
first season was also tricky as well.
But I think Chelsea were let down by individual performances. As much as you say it's tactics, I think individually.
For sure.
I'm putting out a name here.
Luis.
David Luiz, Sideshow Bob.
Luis, yeah.
2 bad judgment calls led to 2 goals.
Yeah.
As a defender, you've got to throw yourself in front of every single shot. He literally moved out of the way and then looked at Kepa like, what are you doing?
He did.
No, that's your job.
No, but if you think about it, he was responsible for all 3 goals because for the first one, it was a needless foul, way away from danger. Give me a foul, and that free kick led to it. And as he said, even when you're in school, one of the things you do not do as a defender is move out of the way of a shot. Like, literally, defenders will literally kill you. Like, in school, don't do anything you do. Make a mistake, make a mistake. Do not move out of the way of a shot. So,
in his defence, it was cold. Now,
when you
get hit by a ball in the cold, it stings, bro. Have you ever been hit by a ball in the cold?
Cover the crown jewels
that
and
hurts.
you're cool. Cover the crown jewels and you're
as
cool.
a professional, you got to take
sympathy.
that. You got to take that. And you know
No
what?
sympathy.
It wasn't just that. It was also the 3rd goal as well.
Oh no!
I mean,
that's the worst attempt of a tackle I've ever seen in my
Jorginho
life.
shouldn't have let him go past him at that stage. Take the yellow. Take a foul.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd been booked before, but just take a tactical foul.
Yeah.
Fernandinho would have taken him out of the halfway line.
Yeah.
That's what he would have done, and that's the difference. But Luis didn't cover himself in glory when trying to cover. It was like he just said, over there, mate, that way.
Yeah, no. It was,
Just let
I was like,
open
I
the
mean,
door.
like,
He looked lethargic.
yeah. And I think, but
He'd given up at that point.
No, but the thing about Luis is that this is what people need to understand. I think a lot of Chelsea fans, they look at Luis and they're like, my gosh, man, but he's so good on the ball and he's needed for the system. I always say, what should you rather have? A defender who can't defend but looks really good on the ball, or a defender who's not that great on the ball but knows how to defend, I'll always go for the defender. Because surely a defender knows how to make a 2-yard pass. That's all I need from you. Make a 2-yard pass and just be defending. So I think for Luis, he will continue to get exposed because central defense is a tough job. So I think no matter how good you are on the ball, being a good defender is a whole different set of skills that I don't think Luis has. So.
But also at the same time, we need to praise, and as much as it hurts me to say this, we have to praise Tottenham. We have to praise Tottenham.
Son was incredible.
And Sissoko. Sissoko actually, he played very, very well.
He's still a break. He played well, but
you've got to give him his dues.
He's still a break.
You've got to give him his dues. Hopefully that's the one game that they had, and they spent all their energy on this game, so next week they're going to be rubbish.
But very, very quickly, I mean, Son, greatest Asian player ever.
Whoa, come on, man.
No, sorry, best Asian player ever. Like, I think best and greatest are two different things.
Come on, Nakata.
There are not that many in
Shinsuke Nakamura.
No, Nakata may be greater, but I think Son is better than Nakata.
Shinsuke Nakamura, bro. Do you not remember Nakamura? Any Celtic fans, shout out.
No, Son is
better.
Shinsuke
Nakamura was a baller.
Son, I think Son is the best.
He's also very humble. So I watched the game, and afterwards he said, "Look, I didn't really want to let my team down. I felt so bad after I had 3 chances and I didn't score. When you're out there." So I found him very sympathetic, and it was his first league goal. So hopefully now we see more of him. I guess we can say we can arguably say it was the best game of Tottenham this season.
Yeah.
And just also looking just to round it up, like possession, right? Tottenham was only 40% to Chelsea actually having a possession of 60%. Right?
It's the most overrated stat.
So
it's what you do with it.
But exactly. Effectiveness, right? So Ali, Kane work well.
Oh, no. For me, I think that's the thing with Tottenham is that is the beauty about them is that they have very dangerous players and they don't need to keep the ball. When you look at players like Kane, Ali, and so forth, they're very direct. So they literally, if you just get the ball to them at speed, these guys can hunt you. And I think it's also a very good thing to have where you don't need, if you can win a game with having 30 or 40% possession, that's always a very good thing to have because that means that you can win in a multitude of ways. It seemed like Chelsea, I think they need to have high possession of the ball because their game is predicated on a lot of passing. But I just felt that, as you said with the stats, I don't care how much possession you have of the ball. You don't win a game by having 80% possession. You win a game by, did I get the ball in the net?
Yeah. And another thing on that is that Tottenham are one of the fitter teams in the league in terms of their work rate and how much space they cover and ground they cover.
Running, pressing.
Yeah, they're very, very good at that. So having 40% suits them.
Yeah.
Because they're good at getting the ball back.
So what do Matt and Drifty think about Tottenham's win over Chelsea?
Right, so Spurs' win over Chelsea. Listen, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of shocked. I did not think Spurs would go that ham. Like, they literally went ham. But Chelsea were poor, though. The thing is, I think Spurs surprised a lot of people. Chelsea were the form team. You get what I'm saying? They look very good under Sarri. But you got to understand, people. When Spurs are on their A game, they will cause any team a problem. Listen, obviously it was 3-1. It was comfortable for Spurs in the end. Obviously, Ali getting a goal, Kane and Son duppying the whole Chelsea. Well, the Chelsea back line just looked like it fell to pieces, didn't it? Let's be real. But I think Spurs are showing that they shouldn't be written off just because they didn't make a signing. I think it was a very important win for Spurs, and to only be, I think it's like 3 points behind Liverpool in second. I think people can't even count them out the title race yet because I do think they're dangerous. And more importantly, I think for Chelsea, I think it was a bit of a wake-up call. They're not the complete team I think some people think they are. Obviously, I think they're a striker away from really, really challenging. But Tottenham, they're about this life, people, and I think they're still going to cause a problem for the rest of the Premier League.
Boy, Chelsea got moved to by Tottenham, man. Tottenham surprised me. Not because I don't think they've got the ability to do that, because you never know when you're going to get it. I thought Chelsea would scrape the victory. They've been playing well. Remember, this is their first loss as well. That's major. They're on an 18-game unbeaten run. So this is a good result for Tottenham, man. I feel like Tottenham showed up. And when that Tottenham there shows up, they can truly beat anyone in the league. They really can.
Do we want to mention Atkinson? Penalty? Again, a questionable call.
VAR.
I mean, there are so many now.
I mean, to be fair, that Hazard should have had a penalty. That was a penalty for me. That's a stone goal. But then there's VAR. We're gonna have the same conversation every week. It's annoying. It annoys
true,
me.
Yeah.
That was 1-0 at the time, I believe.
Yep.
So
it could have
that's a game changer.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, yeah, but I think, look, it's the main thing of, VAR. Like, I think people just have to accept that more of these calls will happen, but I think it's going to happen next season. Next season. It's been confirmed. But I think you just have to just take it with what it is. But I think what will happen is that you will see more and more of these calls, and people will just accept that, yeah, man, we're so happy that VAR will be coming next week. Because all this will happen.
Imagine you're Huddersfield, last game of the season, right? And you're a point away from staying up. And something happens, you're supposed to have a penalty, your goal gets disallowed, and it was wrong. VAR would have proved that it was right, and you get relegated.
That's painful.
Are you going to give a damn about VAR coming in August?
No.
It's like,
Probably not.
we're in the championship.
Yeah.
But I guess it can go both ways, right? And it hits teams. Every game is a fresh start, right? And can hit you as well. You know, it can
Mate, we benefited from it.
So I guess, you just have to be strong, get over it, right? This moaning and stamping your feet there really doesn't work, does it?
That's it.
Okay. Another game that I really, really enjoyed actually was Fulham, Southampton. I do feel for the underdog. I do feel a little bit for Fulham. And let's say, they're not the last in the league anymore. Go Fulham. No, I'm impartial. I'm Switzerland, of course.
Neutral, man. Look, man, I used to live in Geneva, man, so I love those Swiss boys.
My German friends were like, oh my God, we're spitting that. I just said I'm Switzerland. Anyway, don't take this personally. Fulham 3, Southampton 2. Ranieri, right? His first game with them. Schürrle, I'm just saying the German, did also
Dr.
very well.
Schürrle, man.
You have a thing for Schürrle, I've noticed. This.
But now let's be honest here. Alexander Mitrovic, where have you been?
In my dream team, that's where.
Yes.
I got rid of him.
He's 24 and he scored 2 goals. Amazing. He scored the most headers than any other Premier League player this season.
No. And that was a really good header as well.
That is a very decent striker to have. Like, again, I don't want to mention them, but this is the only time I'm going to mention them. Man United. If you put Mitrovic instead of Lukaku, United would probably have won more games. Mitrovic for me is like, he's not a great striker, but he's a very useful striker. And I think that, as you said again, when you have a guy who is good in the air and you're putting a lot of crosses into the box, that is always a very good look for you. That's why for me, I'm always a fan of, like, people have the false nines, all this kind of stuff. I'm always a fan of the old school striker. Like, okay, when all is bad, the defense is really tough, get the ball out wide, put a crossing, because that is something that will always work against whatever team. Cross into the box, guy who can head, you'll always be able to do that. So
I don't know why it didn't work for him at Newcastle, because he has the attributes.
But we look at Newcastle as well.
But at the same time, he had the attributes to be that guy for Newcastle. But I don't think he was ever. I mean, he was quite young when I think he was 21, 22 when he signed. But it's Fulham's gain. I think he's a good striker. I do rate him. He's done well for Serbia in the internationals. He's done well for Fulham. Fulham will score goals. It's the other end of the pitch where they have to worry. And they had a lot of chances which they let Southampton have. And there were some really good goals in that game, actually. Some really good goals. Every goal was
It was real good. I really enjoyed myself.
So Southampton have to be very careful, man.
Let them go down, man.
They've got to be very careful.
Let them go. There's no space for them. No.
They're always so
Mark
close.
Hughes.
They can never get relegated.
Mark Hughes has won 3 games out of 21 since being Southampton manager. How does he keep getting jobs? I don't get it. It's like, if I was sacked from my job and I turned up at the next place, I go, well, you were sacked from the last one. I was like, yeah, but I'm good. All right, we'll give you a job. No, it don't work like that. How does he keep getting jobs?
He has the Midas touch. But basically, I want to know what he does in those interviews. Maybe he just has amazing interviews, man. And that's the key.
I reckon he does a magic mic.
Whoa.
I reckon he just puts on the tape there.
Where am I when this happens?
Damn, Mark Hughes, you got the job.
Okay,
no.
Southampton, I'm going to watch you a bit more.
I don't want that image in my head, man.
Okay, let's move on from the magic mic. But one more thing. I mean, Ranieri, right? We love him because he won with Leicester. Fulham for the win? Is that a stretch?
I think he'll keep him up. I think he will keep him up.
I mean, for me, I
only because there's a lot of worse teams than Fulham.
True. No. Basically, it's too early to tell, but I think he should be, based on his experience and the players that Fulham have. Like, let's say he took over like a Huddersfield or a Cardiff. That's a bit tricky. Fulham have quality players, hence why the other dude who should not be named, he deserves to be sacked. But with Ranieri, I think with the kind of players you have, because for me, I think even with a Schürrle, like, the guy's still quality. There's still I mean, you don't. The thing about this is that he may have been older and he may go out of form, but as I say, class is permanent, form is temporary. So if Ranieri can just tap into because Schürrle is the best player they have. It's just that he's just not shown it. If he can show it,
he's done all right this season. He scored a few goals.
But basically, this is not like 2014, 2013 Schürrle, where this guy was like, okay, this is like a.
But you know the problem with Schürrle is that he's very one-dimensional. And it's easy to, once you've played against him a couple of times, you know what he's going to. He's not Robin. I mean, Robin's one-dimensional, but you can't stop him. You cannot stop him.
No, Robin's the guy.
It's like he has a cheat code.
Yeah.
But Schürrle's like Robin, but from the B-Tech version of Fulham.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to stop him.
They did look like a different team though, right? They were hungry. They looked a bit more self-confident. Where did that come from? I mean, yes,
Ranieri.
the new Ranieri. Can he fix it so easily?
No, the point is that
he's a magic Mike then.
Yeah. No. But what always happens is that the first game with a new manager is always like this. So you shouldn't really say, okay, now they're like this, they're not going to be like this for the next 5-6 games. Whenever you have a new manager, you just want to impress.
You want to show off.
And something is new. Fair. So the key thing is that, okay, you've done this now. He's new. He's now here now. Can he now do this for 4, 5, 6, 7 games? That's going to be the real question. And we'll see.
It's really tight down. I was looking at the bottom of the table. I think there's only like 3 or 4 points between the bottom 8 teams. So now's the time to go on a run and get yourself out of that. Let's see what Fulham can do.
Basically, Christmas. That's the key thing. If you're going to collect points in that period, boom. Yeah.
What do Matt and Drifty have to say about Ranieri's premiere with Fulham?
Listen, Claudio Ranieri finally, it's not even finally, shall I say Fulham finally getting a win. Fair play to Ranieri, innit? But Fulham fans, I wouldn't get carried away because realistically it was Southampton. Southampton are arguably one of the worst team in the league. Mark Hughes hasn't won in how long? Southampton, let's be real, man, they are garbage. But fair play to Fulham, you can only beat what's in front of you. But Ranieri, I have to say, obviously lifted the squad. And to be fair, Fulham did actually play a lot better than they have over the last couple of weeks. People look like they got their confidence back, so I think it's very, very important. Do I think they'll get relegated? It's a bit too early to say, but I think they need to go on a little run and at least pick up some points because I still think they're in a lot of trouble.
The thing is, I didn't really get to see the Ranieri game, the Fulham game, sorry. But obviously he's got his first win. I'm chuffed for him. Fulham struggling badly. He's come in. Is it the manager being new and all that? Or is it just because he's good? I'm going to give it to him because he's good. Love Ranieri. I think he'll get them out of trouble, I'm not being knee-jerk just because of that one victory. I genuinely think he'll keep them up.
Let's look to Europe. Maybe let's look away from Mourinho throwing water bottles and whatnot. Because we're talking about football
that.
Here, people.
I enjoyed that celebration.
Exactly. Right. I think there's 2 games we can talk about here about Manchester City, right? And that's 2-2 to Lyon, right? Manchester City. But then, I mean, they were smashing West Ham in the Premier League 4-0. Does this reflect a little bit about the Premier League? Do people just know each other too well in the Premier League? And people know, oh, these are the big guns, fear factor, we're going to concede and we're not going to even try?
No. For me, I think domestic and Europe are 2 very different things. I think when you look at Pep actually has a really bad record away from home in Europe, dating all the way to Bayern. And I think what you find, that's why you look at Real Madrid, for instance, they won the Champions League 3 times in a row. And they've won the La Liga twice in 8, 9 years, which is crazy. So there's definitely a way you have to approach a league game and a way you have to approach a European game. Because again, like Lyon, a French team, French philosophy is very different from a Premier League team. And I think that for Pep Guardiola, I just think what he has to learn is that you can't play the same exact way in Europe. You have to create, obviously you should have the same philosophy, but you definitely have to make tweaks and adjustments because playing continental for football is very different because you're playing against guys who approach the game in a very different way than Premier League teams. So it's,
I agree with that because even if you go back to when Chelsea won it and they finished 5th,
do
you know what I mean? It's crazy, but I think what it is in the Premier League, the smaller clubs who get smashed up by City, there's a fear factor.
Yeah.
It's the same thing Man United used to have when they used to play Man United. They were afraid of what was going to happen. So they're like, right, we might get beat 5 or 6. So let's try and shut up shop or let's let... These European teams, remember, there's only, 6 games.
Yeah.
You got 6 games to get through the group. So it's win or lose. We have to go for it. And Leon, they went for it. And they should have won that game. They should have done the sweep over Man City. They're not afraid. They're not afraid of Man City.
Manchester still good winners, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they got lucky
they're
with
all
that one.
done and dusted, right?
They
But
lucky.
Pep said Lyon were one of the toughest teams. Do you agree? Was it them or was it?
I think it was Leon. I think you have to praise Leon.
Yeah, I think there's something deeper there. I think Pep is using sort of reverse psychology. Because he said before that, City are not ready to win the Champions League this season and everything. So I think what he's doing, he's trying to basically take pressure off of the players. So he's praising. So Leon, we're really good. We're not really ready this season. I'm really afraid of Liverpool and everything. Because I think he knows that he will be judged by the Champions League. He was not brought in just to win the Premier League. That's a nice bonus. They want to create a dynasty in the Premier League. but he was brought in. All this money, 500 million spent, was for no, we want to be dominant in Europe. And he knows that, no, that's why I'm paid this money, is that to make these guys European champions, and they've never been. So,
and can I just say on another point, Fekir don't look like nothing wrong with his knee to me. His knee looks fine. He's played like most of the season. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what happened there at Liverpool, but
no,
they could have done with him,
they
and they pulled out. They screwed that one up. But Leon have got some very good young players. And Ndombele, that guy is a beast in midfield. Fernandinho was having nightmares every time that he came up against that guy. So yeah, I like Leon. I have no idea how they are so far behind in the league on 15 points behind PSG. I know PSG have
won every single game.
But Leon have been drawing against teams they should have beat. Yeah, and then they're coming out and they're putting on performances like this against Man City. It makes you think.
No, but then it goes to a point. It's like your teams are one way in domestic. They're one way when they're going to Europe. So it's like a whole split personality thingy.
Yeah, schizophrenic football.
What is Matt and Drifty's opinion on why Manchester City is a different beast abroad?
Listen, Man City, yeah, they're a beast. But in Europe, I can't lie, they don't go on as ham, but they still top the group. Now, you look at their results in Europe, they dropped points, obviously, against Lyon twice. Losing to Lyon, you get what I'm saying, at the Etihad. And then, obviously, drawing away from home. But to be fair, you could argue Pep maybe told them to just, not go too ham. Let's save our energy for the Premier League and also for the latter stage of the Champions League. Because I think Pep knows their team was well equipped to do something in the Champions League this season, which I do think, it kind of showed. I think Man City can go up another gear. I think that's what people need to forget. Let's not forget, people. Man City, if they really want to, can go ham. And they will go ham. And I think in the knockout stages, you'll see the Man City of the Premier League. So, do I think Man City fans have anything to worry about in Champions League? Not really. I still think, though, they're one of the top 3 favourites to actually win the whole thing.
What's crazy about this whole City good in Europe thing, yeah? I can't really elaborate on it quickly because I feel like there's a lot of issues that come with this. So I'll just give you the quick, easy version of it. I think because no one has that fear of Man City in the Champions League because they don't have that name. You got to remember, that name does bring a lot to things. You could even be playing maybe, I don't know, AC Milan maybe. And because you remember that AC Milan, it might make you feel a bit more worried than they are. But if you hear Juventus, Bayern Munich, Man United, Real Madrid, you hear those names, it's the name. You don't even know what that team is doing at that time. But that name worries you. And they don't have that. Do you know what I mean? City don't have that. And I feel like that is why a lot of teams feel like they can get at them and they're not as worried about them. Even though they know they're good and they've got pep and everything, there's just something about them. But one thing I will say, everyone knows that the only way to beat Pep is to attack. And the 2 times that they've gone out, Monaco, when they won the league, playing some of the best attacking football we've seen for a long time. And then Liverpool, again, some of the best attacking football, the best front 3 in the league last season. And that was where they were undoing, was in Europe. I don't think they'll do badly this year. I don't. And I feel like they're going to go to at least the semis, I do. But it's a conversation for a bigger story, but I do feel a little bit like it's got something to do with the history more than anything. Do you know what I mean?
All right, we're staying abroad a little bit, and of course, let's look into Germany, right?
Why not?
Bundesliga.
Go inside,
Yeah. Hello, da draußen. Okay, it has to happen. All right, so I've got a question for you. Is Renato Sanchez the man to reignite Bayern Munich's season? Just a quick update, right? So his loan to Swansea flopped, right?
Yeah.
That didn't go so well.
Yeah, just a bit.
Sorry about that.
To be fair, it's probably Swansea. Have you ever been there?
Is it their fault?
It's not very nice.
Look, man,
Have you been to Swansea?
No.
Yeah.
I've never been to Swansea. I've been living here for 11 years.
Don't do it. Don't go to Swansea.
Never go to Swansea.
Don't do
Never go to Swansea. Okay,
No
we done
offense.
that. No offense to Swansea
it's
people.
It's a shithole.
But no, come on. I mean, Bayern Munich, they have a 9-point deficit to Dortmund, right? They need to get their act together. Somebody needs to get them out of the mud. And can Renato Sanchez do it? He runs approximately 6 miles per game. He had 1 goal and a couple of assists so far. So, I mean, it's looking good. His pass completion is up to 94%.
That's pretty good.
Can he be the savior that Bayern Munich actually really do need?
Says
They're
he's
fifth now.
He's run 6 miles. Is it right? Running in the right way? Because that was what. No, to be fair,
Running away from
to be fair, he is a very good player, and I think we didn't get to see him in England at all. The player that we saw in the Euros when he came through, that was not the guy we saw at Swansea. I've seen a little bit of him at Bayern. there was one particular game, was it a Champions League game, where he took the ball deep in his own half, ran the length of the pitch and set up a goal for probably Lewandowski. It's usually him. But he looks like he's back to something near his best. I think if he can get a run of games, he could help by... I mean, they got so many players out. That's the problem. They got so many injuries. Coleman's out. I think James is out again. Yeah. Thiago's out again. So Sanchez, maybe if they put a little bit of trust in him, maybe he could help.
See, I mean, basically, the thing with Sanchez, it speaks to a bigger issue with Bayern Munich. And I think maybe it's... I don't know whether it's a German thing or a Bayern thing of like, no, we will stick by our views and we'll be loyal and we won't change. So I don't know whether that's German or whether that's Bayern. But my thing is that I'm a huge fan of Robben and Ribery. I'm a huge fan of them. They shouldn't have been given 1-year extensions. Someone like Renato Sanchez, that's the future of Bayern because I feel that player I saw at the Euros, no, that's a quality player. Yeah. So I don't care what he did at Swans and everything. No, that is a very talented player who can really add something to Bayern's attack. So he should really be at the core of a younger, brighter, much more vibrant Bayern Munich. But in the summer, who did he really bring? So Bayern should already be thinking of like, okay, your Pankers and everything, that's already in the past. You know, he did what he could last season. Muller, Ribery, Robben, Boateng. You're getting old.
Even Hummels.
We have to...
I wonder if it's because they did bring in some young... They bought... Gnabry's come through.
Well, they already bought him from before.
I wonder if there's some sort of hierarchy there where these players have power to say, well, we're not being dropped. You know, we're playing Ribery, Robben, Boateng, Muller. These guys, because they start nearly every game.
No.
And there are young players that can take their place.
And also, listen, that's what happened with Ancelotti. Ancelotti was sacked because he didn't get on well with Ribery, Robben and people. And they were... Basically, there's like a clique of like senior players who hold a lot of power. And because they didn't like Ancelotti's tactics, he was sacked. And that's an issue. You have to look to the future. So it's like,
I agree. I think, I mean, the World Cup for Germany was exactly the perfect example for that we do not have the vision to look into the future. We had it back then in the day, right? We did well in the Euro Cup, and that's when we pushed that future vision to the World Cup.
The fact that Joachim Löw still has a job as general manager that's
the things that he's doing.
I've been calling for
well.
his sack for all this time, and no one's listening to me, so that's fair enough.
No one generally listens to me.
One thing I want to throw in, right? I mean, maybe it's not actually that wrong, though, to think we bring in the experienced players, right, who can carry the mentality and have the right experience and bring along the other half, which is the young players who are really hungry and fast, but maybe not as experienced. Maybe they're just missing the balance.
I think that's a very good point. I think that is what's. But sooner or later, you've got to put trust in these younger players to do it. Dortmund have done it. You can see what they're going through at the moment. They're doing it.
Completely young team.
Yeah.
Apart from Royce, it's a totally young team.
They've got experience in one or two places, but at Bayern, it seems like they're giving too many opportunities to your Ribery's. I mean, they're playing well. Let's not get twisted. Robben done a Robben special again this week. So they're playing well, but you've got young players who could come in and take their place. You have to trust these young players.
Yeah. Very, very quickly, how old is Robben now?
34, I think.
Unbelievable.
34. Still doing the same trick.
Amazing, man.
Goes to the party, does the same card trick at every party, and everyone's like, oh my God, mind blown. See you next week.
And we're repeating it. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
No, man, Robben's the guy, man.
Right, I think so. Just quickly, I mean, let's look at Arsenal and Bournemouth just one time. I mean, it was kind of a dreadful game to watch in one way for me personally, just because I mean, Lerma, I did feel for him. It's like an own goal for him.
Amazing own goal.
What a strike!
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah,
who came playing? He hit the post later on, right? So he was so close for making amends, and I could really feel for him that he lost, and he was so frustrated with himself as well. Then started to foul people left, right, and centre, right as well. Fair enough. But one thing that stood out for me, right, is changed formation, right, from Arsenal. They completely changed it, and they were asking different questions of Bournemouth, right? It absolutely worked. We have to admit it, even though we had things. Yeah. So we have 3 centre backs and the wing backs. Do you agree it's a good decision going forward as well?
It worked. I mean, it's good to have. This is where Wenger was often criticised. He didn't have a plan B. We've seen with Emery, he's not afraid to change things. This is clearly a plan B. I was shocked when I looked at the starting line. I was like, huh? Because I'm just used to seeing the same formation with 1 or 2 personal changes. But this was a brand new thing. I was like, oh, okay. And when you actually looked at how we played on the day, we used that. We kind of confused Bournemouth with the wing backs a bit. And Kolasinac was heavily involved in both goals. That goes to show. And Kolasinac is not a left back. I think we were sold a dream.
Don't forget about that. It will be through ball, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That was good. That was good ball. Iwobi also gave away the goal for the.
But he also did the through ball.
I think the wing backs definitely were. I think it will help Bellerin, because Bellerin has been found out time and time again as being our outlet on the right in attacking positions, and then also being asked to be back in defensive position. He can't do both. I mean, he's not Ashley Cole. Let's not be silly. So it helps him in terms of he has cover for when he goes forward. So I think it can work in certain games, and if he chooses the right games to use that formation, then fair play to him. Well done. I like Emery, man. He's changing things. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
No. For me, I just think look. I mean, you have to give. What do they say? This is the first time in a long time where because normally November is like.
We don't win. We don't win in November.
So this is the first time in November has actually been a good month for Arsenal in ages.
But I mean, I think we've only won one game this month, so we've still had the November slump, but we just aren't losing.
Yeah.
So we've drawn 3 or something. And
I think with Emery, I just think there's just, as I said, there's more flexibility, there's more freedom there, and I just think that there are more ideas to the team. With Wenger, you could just say that these guys are not moving forward. It's very stale. It's almost as if you're just turning up to training and it's the same drills, the same thing. But when you're turning up to training and you're doing different drills, different setups, you're training different things, it will refresh you and you can just see that on the pitch.
I need to talk about Ozil though.
He was out.
Ozil, this is what Emery's my guy. I love Ozil. Anyone will say the only time people see me heated is when they try to have a go at Ozil. You could
Look, I still say he's
seen it.
He's overrated.
You've seen it.
Quality, but he's overrated.
Now he's just trying to get a rise out of me. I'm not serious. But the point is, Emery took him out and said, look, you're not starting this game. Here's my reasons. Whatever reasons he said in the press might not be the same thing he said to Ozil, but he came out in the press and said, I dropped him because I needed this, that, the other. And what? That for me shows some balls. The guy's got balls.
Yeah.
Ozil is our star man. He took him out. We got a result.
Yeah. And let's face it, Bournemouth were good.
Yeah,
right?
Bournemouth were good.
They were trying hard, right?
Yeah.
They were not giving up. And Arsenal they were away from home, and Bournemouth was going strong, so they performed really well, even without the Lerma.
Yeah, and to be fair, Bournemouth had a perfectly good goal disallowed. Again, VAR.
Exactly.
Mustafi played him on side.
Oh, that was the early one, wasn't it? The early goal.
And that's 1-0 early doors, and it could be a completely different game. So Bournemouth were unlucky on that, but it happens.
It was tough. I saw that.
Yeah.
It was with the shoulder of the
on the floor.
Arsenal. Yeah, it was on the floor. Okay, well, I mean, yeah.
It happens.
We can talk about
No,
that.
it happens. I mean, look, man, it happens. That's football ball.
But shout out Eddie Howe. I like Eddie Howe, man. He's doing a great job.
Very good job. Amazing job.
I hope he doesn't go to a bigger club and end up doing a Moyes and that would be a shame.
But sometimes you have to take your opportunities. You can't just live in this small pond.
No, but where could he go? I mean, most of the big jobs are taken unless Pochettino goes Madrid and then maybe they bring him in. I think he'll be a good fit. I think he'll be a good fit.
That could be a shout.
I think he'll be good.
Looking into the future, there, Devil, my friend, and let's
got my little crystal ball here.
Let's all look into the future, of course, because those exciting games are coming up, happening, of course, from Arsenal. Let's go to North London, the North London derby, right? It's coming up. We've got Arsenal Tottenham.
Yeah.
What do we think? I mean, with a performance against against Chelsea, Devil.
I hope that's the performance, and they've wasted it. They've wasted it on Chelsea. So let's hope that they've expended all their energy and they've had their little DVD moment for this season.
Is this at Emirates or Wembley?
It's at Wembley. It's at Wembley, I believe. I need to double check that. I think it's at Wembley. And we've also got them in the League Cup as well, I think. Shortly as well. We've got them in the League Cup shortly as well. So, yeah. Anyway, you know what? The thing is with this, it's a completely different narrative to what we've had recent years, in that Tottenham will go into this as firm favourites because everyone believes that the power shift and now Tottenham are the best club in London, which is bollocks. Do you know what I mean? You're not behind someone for 25 years and then all of a sudden after 2 minutes you're the best club in London. You've won nothing. Sit down, shut up. But I think Tottenham will be very confident going into it. Obviously Harry Kane he's getting his goals. He loves a goal against us. So if anyone is a gambling man or woman, go to the bookies and put money on Harry Kane to score, because he always scores against us. Always. It's annoying.
Who can score from Arsenal?
Well, you've got Aubameyang. Lacazette will be fit. So I'm really interested to see what he goes with.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Aubameyang on the left wing again.
Do you reckon Emery has a bit of a surprise up his sleeve, maybe?
If he went two men up top, oh man, I'd love that. I'd love to see Lacazette and Aubameyang just go up top against Chelsea, push their centre backs back, and let them be worried about us on the break. Let them be worried about our pace, so they can't step up too much. Give space for maybe an Ozil or Iwobi to get on the ball, and let's try and damage them. Let's go at them, man. Do you know what I mean?
Do you reckon Ozil will play?
Ozil will play.
No, he has to play.
Ozil has to play in that one. Ozil has to play in that one.
No. For me, I mean, it's like Tottenham are the favourites. Tottenham should win, and I think that Tottenham have the tools to really expose Arsenal's defence. But I also have a very funny thing about what Arsenal can do. Because remember, like, as good as Tottenham were against Chelsea, Tottenham were playing against a team that didn't have a striker for like 70 minutes or something. Arsenal, they may be iffy in defence, they have attack, and they have a striker. So I just think that's where they will really be tested. And I just think that, on that pitch, I think if Arsenal can just restrict the amount of mistakes they will make, Tottenham will have opportunities. So Arsenal know that, look, if we could just get lucky and restrict the amount of chances that we have, we will get opportunities. And if they can just get good deliveries into Aubameyang, like I said, and get them into good areas, like they're going to create chances. And I think that Aubameyang and Lacazette will be. So I don't know. I think Arsenal may edge it.
The midfield battle is what scares me.
Yeah.
Xhaka. If they get in and around Xhaka and force mistakes out of him, then that worries me because he's got a mistake in him. Mustafi's temperament worries me. One area I think where is Torreira. If Torreira can get in there and crunch Ali early doors, do you know what I mean? Just because I don't like Dele Alli, not because he's dangerous, I just don't like the guy. So if he could get in around him, just crunch him. It's a very interesting game. Very interesting.
Yeah.
As a neutral, I wish I was watching it as a neutral. As I'm an Arsenal fan, I'll probably be pulling my hair out.
I'll do that for you. Let's get an insight of what Matt and Drifty think for the North London derby coming up this Sunday.
North London derby. Now, obviously, Arsenal at home. Listen, Arsenal ain't been playing that well, They ain't been playing that well. Obviously, Spurs coming off the back of a good win against Chelsea. Listen, Arsenal at home, I can't lie. They are a bit of a force. Like, Arsenal at home have picked up results. But again, they haven't been playing at their best. But Spurs, on the other hand now, Spurs... The thing is with Spurs, if they put in a performance like they did against Chelsea, I think Spurs will win it. But I just don't see that. I do genuinely think it's going to be a draw. I think both teams will score. Personally, I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be 2 goals apiece. I can't split this one, but I think both teams will obviously give it their all. But I don't think Arsenal are going to lose at home. So I think, 2-2 the draw for me.
Boy, this North London derby, I don't even know how I feel about it. I feel anxious even though my team's not playing. It's really weird. And what a crazy weekend. Derbies everywhere. If the Tottenham that played Chelsea shows up, Arsenal will get wiped. At least 2-0, 3-1, something like that. Very similar scoreline. But will that Tottenham show up? There's something about the North London derby where they get a little weird. So... I've got a slight feeling Arsenal are going to win this. Don't ask me why. I just feel like after that great performance against Chelsea and then again against Inter Milan, wouldn't it just be Spurs to mess it up against Arsenal? It should be a good game though. It should be a good game. I think Arsenal might... No, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going for a draw.
Only left to do is then to watch it and see what happens and then talk about it again next week, right? So don't forget to subscribe for our YouTube channel and check in with us on social media, of course. Thanks for joining us today and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace.